as long as the Arab dictators support us, and you can keep a lid on the population, who cares if 80% of Egyptians think that Iran should have nuclear weapons to secure the region? We can forget them, the way we always forget populations, as long as the jackboot's on their neck. There's a domestic analog to this, which I won't talk about. But that's the conception, the reigning conception of democracy, justice, freedom, and so on. I'm not talking about Washington. I'm talking about the people we live with, the educated sectors, our part of the population. That's what you read in the commentary, and it reflects a general opinion pretty dramatically. Same in Europe, incidentally, no difference at all. This continues to the present. So you'll recall after 9/11, George Bush made a plaintive plea asking, why do they hate us? And he said, well, they hate our freedom. Right after that, the Pentagon initiated a study group, Defense Science Board, which asked the question, well, why do they hate us? And they concluded that they don't hate our freedom, they hate our policies, and for good reason. And they pretty much reiterated what the National Science Security Council had concluded 50 years earlier. So the truth of the matter is they don't hate our freedom, we hate their freedom. And if we had a free press, those would be the headlines. We hate their freedom, and we're going to do everything we can to keep them from achieving them, as we've been doing for, well, I went back half a century. You can go back much farther. If you go to the British history, and the French who were there before us, it goes way back. And incidentally, the same is true around the rest of the world as well. We're talking about the Middle East. The background for the concern over the Middle East is also not at all obscure. Actually, it's the fact that the world's major energy resources are located there. That point was actually made with surprising clarity just a few weeks ago at an international tribunal in The Hague. There was an international tribunal, there is an international tribunal on crimes in Sierra Leone. The chief prosecutor is an American law professor, the co-prosecutor is a distinguished British barrister, and a couple of weeks ago the prosecution rested its case. The chief prosecutor and his colleague objected that they hadn't been able to present the case that they wanted to. The reason was that they wanted to indict Colonel Gaddafi. They said that they had substantial evidence, that they gathered evidence that Gaddafi was responsible for the arming and the training of the killers, and that he therefore shared responsibility for the death of over 1 million people. And when they were asked by the British press why they didn't pursue that, they said the United States and Britain intervened and in fact threatened to defund the tribunal if it went after their friend Muammar Gaddafi. It was a couple of weeks ago, not ancient history. And then they were asked, the chief prosecutor was asked, well, why would they do that? And he gave a simple answer. He said, welcome to the world of oil. Well, that's a good slogan to keep in mind when you think about anything going on in connection with that region. Welcome to the world of oil. Well, from these simple considerations, you can anticipate what the Western reaction is likely to be, case by case, with regard to the Arab Spring, and it doesn't contain many surprises. So in the case of oil-rich countries, they all have dictators. So in the case of oil-rich dictators who are obedient and responsible, do what we like, they're given free rein. They can do what they like. The most important case, of course, is Saudi Arabia, most repressive country in the region, most extreme, radical Islamist state, and the place where most of the oil is. So they can do what they like. There was an effort to have a Friday uprising, Day of Rage, in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. The police the security presence was so intimidating that nobody even showed up in the streets. They were afraid to even start. And that's fine. And, a little praise from Hillary Clinton. The same was true in Kuwait, also critical. A loyal dictator in an oil-rich state, particularly important for Britain, which a lot of its financial system relies on Kuwaiti oil, has for a long time. So there was a small uprising. It was instantly crushed. No complaints. The most